Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I will start. I will be brief because I've seen that throughout the presentation that many points of my presentation were already touched upon by colleagues, but I would like to highlight some specific parts on, and in particular, I will focus my presentation on the proposed AI Act because we have a lot of so many legal acts or regulations touching upon bias, but I think that the proposed AI Act has so many things to discuss and well imposes really stringent obligations on different actors in the AI chain. So I would like to discuss with you and present to you some obligations that they have to fulfill in order to either develop or also use or deploy AI systems. Well, a brief overview of regulation of AI in Europe. We have, as usual, mandatory provision, recommendation, and project-specific requirements. In this, within mandatory provisions, I will focus, as I mentioned before, on AI Act, which is, by the way, it is a draft. We don't have this piece of legislation has not entered into force yet. We hope that it will enter into force soon. That it will be signed soon, but well, it will enter into force if ever. In 2 or 3 years. So there is still a lot of many times to still work and to consider many different aspects. The civil liability framework. The data protection regulation is also an important piece of legislation that is in force, and it also have some provision that we can use right now, and Data Protection Authority has been using to tackle problems concerning AI systems. For instance, the Italian Data Protection Authority has used the GDPR to block ChatGPT, also to block replica chatbot, also to impose fines on Deliveroo and to Deliveroo and another applications to deliver food. So the GDPR is a really interesting also, piece of legislation that can be used to tackle bias in AI. And sectoral machine legislation, which is not useful for us in this case, but it's worth mentioning it because it is also referred in the AI Act. Recommendations, the European Commission ethic guidelines, which were heavily used on the AI Act. I will show it later, and also documentation and guidelines provided by either bodies at European level or national level. What are the guidelines of trustworthy AI? In 2019, the European Commission launched the guidelines for trustworthy AI, and in the nutshell, it's considered that for AI to be trustworthy, it should be lawful, ethical, and robust, and it needs to have or fulfill 7 key requirements: human agency and oversight, transparency, technical robustness, diversity, privacy and governance, societal well-being, social and environmental well-being, and accountability. It is worth noticing that the first 6 that I mentioned are has been already included into the new version of the AI Act. I don't know if you have seen it, but there is a consolidated text of the AI Act that was last week agreed in the Parliament. So, and this new text includes these first 6 requirements: human agency, transparency, technical robustness, diversity, and privacy and environmental well-being. Accountability was not included in Article 4A. However, on accountability, there are so many obligations that both providers and deployers of AI system need to fulfill that it is it is not needed to include it as a separate requirement. So I will move forward with this with the specific requirements, because we have already discussed before what is human agency, technical robustness, privacy. So I will go forward to the AI regulation. Basically, in the new version of the AI Act, and in this presentation, I will focus my analysis on the new legislation. You may find some differences if you are familiar with the previous version, but this new version has a lot of changes that, and many of them are worth taking into consideration. One of the changes is that it changed the definition of AI. Right now, in the previous version, it has AI needs to have some specific approaches or technique, for instance, machine learning or statistical approaches. Right now, these approaches, which were in Annex 1, in Annex 1, it was removed, and now it is definition is a machine-based system that is designed to operate with varying level of autonomy, that can, for explicit or implicit objectives, generate outputs such as prediction, recommendation, that has the ability to influence. Some important remarks. The objectives does not need to be human objectives, which was a critique on the initial definition. It can be machine generated objectives. The outputs can be any kind of outputs, and also it does not limit to a specific technique or approach of AI, such as machine learning or statistical approaches. So I think that the definition is very, very wide. It includes important definitions such as foundation model or general purpose AI. Currently we are assisting to an important development, which is ChatGPT and generative AI. So the definition of foundational model and general purpose AI are really important. Provider and deployer, I will dig deeper into these two concepts later. And AI literacy, in this new version, it imposes stringent obligations, and it requires both for deployers and providers to invest in AI literacy and increase the level of awareness within the organization concerning AI. But what is the general structure of the AI Act? The AI Act differentiates AI systems into 4 different categories. First, unacceptable risks, which are prohibited. High risks, which are heavily regulated. They are allowed, but heavily regulated. And I would say that this is the core of the regulation. Some AI systems that entail limited risk, another system that entails minimal or no risk, that are not regulated at all. When it comes to the forbidden AI practices, we can see that there is a long list of forbidden AI practices, and the new version of the AI Act includes more systems that are prohibited. For instance, previously predictive policing was not prohibited. Right now it is forbidden. Predictive policing are systems that can be used to assess the risk of offending, reoffending, or predicting the occurrence of crimes. And we can refer to a case in the US brought about by ProPublica in a couple of years ago. It is also forbidden the development of facial recognition systems via scrapping of faces. In last year, Clearview AI, which is a company that is a service provider that provides facial recognition system, created the databases for the facial recognition system using scrapping be a scrapping of social media. Right now, this if it is agreed, this new text, this technique would be forbidden. And also it is forbidden emotional inference systems if for law enforcement, workplace, and education. I assume that the member of the parliament are foreseeing that this will be continually used in the workplace and education. So emotion inference systems are forbidden as well. But in a nutshell, and not digging deeper into all the system, we can see that there are many systems that are forbidden, and now the fines for either producing or using these systems have been increased, because before it was 6%, now it is 7% of the worldwide annual turnover. So not only in conclusion, not only the number or the categories of forbidden AI practice was widened, but also the fines for companies that engage into these techniques was also modified. Moving forward, I mentioned before that the core of the AI regulation is to impose stringent requirements for AI system, a high-risk AI system which are systems that even if they are allowed, since the risk that they entail for not only for individuals but also for the society is high, they are the European bodies consider that this system needs to be heavily regulated. So this must those who provide or those who develop this system and also those who deploy this system need to follow stringent rules. And it also not only stringent rules on the development but also on the transparency. What are high-risk AI systems? There is no definition, but we see that there are this system considered to be high risk in many different areas, and this list is not a definite list or an unmutable list. It can be modified by the Commission when it considers that it is suitable. So real biometric identification of persons, real time or post time, it is considered a high risk system. But we have to differentiate between this system and the system that is forbidden, which is for law enforcement purposes, and for law enforcement in open spaces. So what is the differentiation? It allows the AI Act allows using biometric identification of persons for authentication. For instance, if I need to cross a security gate and it requires me to authenticate or identify myself using biometrics, this is allowed, but it is considered a high-risk system. But using facial recognition systems similar to scenario 3 of the hands-on exercise that we made before, would be forbidden. In education, determining access to or assigning persons to educational and vocational training, this is forbidden. This is also considered high risk. In employment, systems to recruit, making decision on promotion. These systems are called, in general, automated tracking systems, which are widely used in the industry. For instance, when we submit our CV on LinkedIn or in Workday, these companies do not conduct a one-by-one evaluation of the CVs. They put all the CVs into a system which is an ATS, and well, these systems will be allowed, but subject to restriction. Other systems are concerning access to essential system, for instance, benefits or evaluation of the creditworthiness of persons, and many more, like border control, law enforcement, and justice. Providers. I will speed up a little bit the presentation because I think that we are running out of time. But two important operators in the AI value chains are providers. Providers of AI systems are those who develop the system. They are, I would say that they are the most heavily regulated, and they have in the most important obligations that they have is provide a risk management system, that compliance with the data and data governance, fulfilling technical documentation, making sure that the system allows to human oversight, and also provide information as an example of other obligations. Provide detailed information to deployers of the AI system, because the idea of the AI Act is that providers are not the companies that will end up deploying the AI system. They are only the providers. It can be a situation where the provider is also the deployer, but in general, providers of AI system will not be the end users or end deployers of the AI systems. I put developers, but there is a mistake. The deployers. Then I mentioned that deployers is the second most important category of operators in the AI system, and developers of AI systems are those who are using the AI system procured from the deployer, or they can also procure it via the importer or distributor. But the deployers are those who use the AI system for commercial purposes. The new piece of the new draft includes more obligations to to deployers. First of all, it changes the name because in the previous version, this category were called users. Now they are called deployers. So this is a difference that to take into consideration if you are reading different versions of the AI Act draft. And deployers, the most important obligations that deployers have is to use the high-risk AI system according to the provider's obligation, monitor the AI system operation, keep the logs. This is a new obligation, consultation with workers, with worker representative, if they use AI system at the workplace. This is a new obligation. Also, as you know, the GDPR requires that for some particular data processing systems, the controller must conduct a data protection impact assessment. This will be generally the case when they are using AI systems, and well, in this case, the AI Act mandates that the deployer, when they are conducting the data protection impact assessment, must use the information provided by the provider to conduct the DPI. I think it makes sense, but well, it is also an obligation. Inform individual. This is another obligation. This is a new obligation. Inform individuals when using AI system for decision making. So when they are facing or the interface is with an end user, they must inform that they are interacting with an AI system. And finally, this is a really important and surprising to me obligation that deployers will have, is that they must perform a fundamental rights impact assessment. So this is an addition from this last draft. What is the content of the fundamental rights impact assessment that it is provided in this draft? We are very familiar with the data protection impact assessment because we've been conducting DPAIs for a long time, for a couple of years. But fundamental rights is, I guess that it is a type of impact assessment that was heavily debated in the academia, but I haven't seen many publications in the industry speaking about fundamental rights impact assessment. I think that right now, if this is enacted, if this is agreed and enacted, it will be heated discussions on the content, on the extent, on the scope. But well, if we focused on our discussion on the content provided by law or by the draft, fundamental right impact assessment must include the intended purpose, geographic and temporal scope, the categories of affected persons, verification compliance with fundamental rights, foreseeable impact on fundamental rights, specific risks for vulnerable groups, adverse impact on the environment, and this is a difference with this is a fundamental difference with the DPAI. In the DPAI we don't care about the environment, but in this case it is required. Mitigation measure is also addressed in data protection impact assessment, and also a governance system including a human oversight and compliant handling measures. Another important point is that for the fundamental rights impact assessment to be valid, it must to be deployers must notify to supervisory authority and relevant stakeholders and wait for inputs. I don't know really how this will work because it will create a heavy burden, not only for the documentation purposes, but also for the timing. It will require an amazing coordination from different actors to make these consultations working. So I guess that this will be heavily resisted in the industry. When the fundamental right impact assessment must be conducted, it must be used with the first use of the high-risk AI system. And what are the consequences of the for the fundamental right impact assessment? If the deployer cannot identify risks or cannot identify mitigation measures to address the identified risks, it must refrain from using the high-risk AI system, and it must inform both the deployer, which is I repeat, which is the organization that developed the AI system, and also national authorities. And well, relationship with the AI, with the data protection impact assessment, this must be conducted together. So I think that this is from and speaking about biases, I think that this will be where another instance where biases can be detected and also addressed, because even if we discussed before that biases should be identified at the early stages of the process, in particular in the development, but now we have a clear obligation which is posed on the deployer to conduct this impact assessment, which is different from the data protection impact assessment, but it can be there can be cross fertilization between these two impact assessment, and well, I think that it will increase the level of awareness, and also it will improve the practices across the AI value chain. So I have also another slide, but I think that we can finish here with some comments on the fundamental rights impact assessment, and I think that this can really change and transform those provisions in the AI Act into more practical and operational aspects. So, well, thank you very much for listening to me, and open to questions if you have any.